Later, a former leader of the Algerian terrorist groups, Omar Chiki, confirmed that the plan had been to blow up the plane over the Eiffel Tower, the symbol of the French nation. Hundreds might have been killed when the plane crashed down onto the crowded streets of Paris. They never tried again, and the world would forget this hijacking. Until 7 years later.
I went to do some shopping and I bumped into a friend who said a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. I went home and stayed sitting in front of the television for 24 hours. I couldn't move or eat or do anything. All those images came back to me.
Crashing a plane on the Eiffel Tower or the Élysée Palace would be an extraordinary feat.
Above all, I kept thinking, we had apprentice terrorists, boys who didn't understand very well what they were doing. But voila, they taught everyone a lesson.
So I thought it important to start my video this week with that footage, given that my one short kinda stirred a pot a little bit. And being a new content creator, I realized in that moment that there are gonna be people who come across my videos that aren't a part of my community and don't understand what I do, and it's gonna be either confusing or pot stirring in this specific circumstance. So I just wanted to state that what I do is I cover existing lore of Rainbow Six Siege maps and games in general I plan on covering. And lore is being a very, very key word here because lore isn't real. But the community that follows R6 lore and lore of video games, they genuinely enjoy the content, real or not real, because it's all speculative. And if anyone pays attention to my videos, I actually try to always use words like possible connection or speculate, because no matter what, at the end of the day, it's lore. And I find typically when it comes to this situation, you have three. And again, I said typically. You have three types of people. You have the ones that love the lore, which is why I do what I do. Then you have the people who genuinely don't care. Like they like the game, they don't like the game, they just don't care. And then you have the other spectrum of people who will be the first to throw out there, Ubisoft says at the beginning of the game that any connection to real life events is coincidental. And the reality is nobody's wrong. Absolutely nobody's wrong. I mean, we're all entitled to opinion and it is what it is. But when it came to the short in particular, which was referring to Monty and then the 9/11 attacks and Air France Flight 8969, here is where it came from. As per R6 lore, which again has its own debates, it is heavily believed that Monty, being a GIGN, was connected to this Air France Flight 8969. One of them happened to be a GIGN that had a shield, really just kind of a badass, and was a key part of that event. So that's a Monty connection to the Air France flight. Now the Air France flight, take the footage that I started this with, many of the people that were there, it's their opinion and believed that it gave birth to the idea of what ended up being 9/11. Now in hindsight, as a creator, I see that if someone were just to randomly only jump in on that short, that it would be pretty jarring and like messed up. As I started off saying like Monty has a connection to 9/11, and it was geared towards my existing community because when you're a content creator, you only have like a short period of time to grab somebody's attention. So I absolutely get where people were coming from. But in saying that, I actually spend countless hours going through Reddit, going through YouTube videos, going through every forum I can find, collecting all the evidence I can have for the hypothetical lore, and then coming together for my weekly videos where I just tell the possible story that it could be connected to. That's just what we kind of do here, and I get that's not for everybody, but I do actually try to make genuine connections, and I don't just pull stuff out of nowhere. It was either a seed already done or it's an actual fact connected to an event. So on that note, I hope that kind of explains things for people if they're really confused, and if not, well, I guess at least I tried. Now normally at this point I would jump right in telling the actual real life story of Air France Flight 8969. Except I'm gonna do things a little bit different this week just because I spent so long going through what I just went through, so if anyone in my normal community, I'm sorry. But I am going to link the documentary that I played in the beginning because it's going to tell everything about what happened in great detail, and it's a really well done documentary. So on that note, I will talk to you guys later.